Hello, Grapperinos. Welcome to a very depressing episode of probably next week on Raw. I'm Bryon, and I am deeply saddened to report that Goldberg has returned. Fortunately, there's someone very happy about this news, and that is the person who is also hosting the show alongside myself, whose name is Mike. Say hi, Mike.
Yes, I'm very excited about Goldberg being back. he's he's the last WCW guy to be on the roster. But what sucks is apparently they're doing this. I don't know if this is going to be a three-peat, but if this is his last match, and they're doing it at a Saturday night's main event, that's a little yeah.
There are reports that it may be the first match between them, and we're probably gonna get an elongated feud between the two, which will end at like Survivor Series or SummerSlam, something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
So we're probably gonna get a couple matches with Goldberg, but yeah, I don't know, man. I'm just hoping that Goldberg can wrestle and can actually carry a match. To me, he kind of seemed like he was out of shape when he came out against Gunther on that ring last week on Raw. So I don't know, man. I'm just cautious about the match. I'm also cautious about Goldberg potentially injuring himself or injuring other people because I'm pretty sure he's known to do that. I just don't know about the match between him and Gunther. Like that's my concern about it. But if that's what the fans wanted, then I'm not gonna complain about it. It's just I don't know if it's going to meet their expectation. So isn't he like 56, Goldberg? Or is he like
Yeah,
older?
he's around there. Yeah, he's around there. I
So
think.
yeah. I don't know if he can carry a match. But it is Gunther we're talking about, so he carried himself against Jey Uso very well. And I'm pretty sure he's gonna carry himself against Goldberg just as fine. But anyway, we are going to book the next episode of Raw, and this is the go home show for Night of Champions in Saudi Arabia. So just keep that in mind, and we are going to book that show with these rules in mind. We've already done this for a couple weeks now, so you probably have a sense of what the rules are that we are using for our predictions and bookings. And then after we again lock in our predictions and bookings for the show on here, we are going to watch the next episode of Monday Night Raw, and we are going to score our predictions and bookings based on the scoring system, and you can see what it is. It might change based on whether or not we feel that there's some kind of injustice, but so far I think it's fine. I don't know, we might have to introduce like a catch-up mechanic or something, but that is the scoring system right there. And we are going to go to the points. So, despite Mike, you having a lot of points, I think that's still not enough. Again, that may be because I'm generous, or it could also be because I got the match order, not the match order, but the match winners correctly and who is going to intervene. I tend to be better on Raw than on SmackDown, and I think I have like a 19-point lead or something. So
Yeah, I got a few things right. My big win last week. Let me pull it up here. My big win last week, I think, was AJ Styles versus JD McDonough, and also Bailey and Becky Lynch.
yeah, I'm glad you got that right. Those were, I think I had those. Maybe I'm not quite sure, but yeah, it's nice that you got a lot of points there, at least last week. But we'll see if you can continue that momentum. I'm just gonna coast with my booking, see how much I can get away with, considering how much lead I have. But yeah, we shall see as we take a look at the announced matches for that week. We got a Queen of the Ring semifinal match as Jade Cargill goes up against Roxanne Perez. And we got King of the Ring semifinal match as Cody Rhodes goes against Jey Uso. And the Women's Intercontinental Championship match between Becky Lynch and Bailey. So, without further ado, let's book this stuff. Starting off with a Jey Uso promo in my version of the show. Jey Uso comes out to the ring. As Mike said previously, he's going to take 20 minutes to do so. Says that he's going to talk about the King of the Ring semifinal match between him and Cody Rhodes. And says that he's going to win King of the Ring. He's going to take it back from Gunther. And he is going to yeet with the crowd after that. And then we're going to have Cody Rhodes come out. Says that he will win the semifinals, but it will be a friendly competition because Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes are friends. They shake hands. But Seth's faction comes out. And we are going to have Seth, maybe Paul Heyman, both of them. I don't know, but they're both going to say no matter who wins, Seth Rollins has the briefcase and the power to shut it all down. He can cash in on Jey Uso when he wins it from Gunther, or he can cash in on Gunther, or he could cash it on John Cena. Who knows? But he has the power. He has the briefcase to shut it all down, and we're going to lead that into a brawl between Jey, Cody, Bronson Reed, and Braun Breaker, and maybe even put in Seth Rollins on there. And that gets pulled apart by security and management as we move on to the next match, which is Jade Cargill versus Roxanne Perez in the semifinals for the Queen of the Ring tournament. I'm going to have Jade Cargill win here by pinfall despite interference from Raquel on behalf of Roxanne Perez. And again, this is going to lead into some more tension between members of the Judgment Day. So I thought that Roxanne would win at first. But considering Liv's injury, I think it would be better for WWE to put their eggs into the basket of Jade, Naomi, and Bianca instead of putting it on the Judgment Day. Because there are two routes where they can go here. Like if they give Roxanne the win, they could tell the story of, hey, Roxanne is now the women's champion. Liv comes back. Liv is like, what the hell? Why does Roxanne have the title and not me? That can cause some more tension between members of the Judgment Day. And that could be the case. But I think because of the fact that Jade, Naomi, and Bianca has been the story for so long, I think they would rather give it to Jade just to cap off that storyline. And then they could probably slow burn Roxanne being the women's champion later on in the year when Liv comes back. So I'm going to have Jade win here. Yeah.
So Dominic Mysterio started off by dating Rhea. Okay?
Yeah.
Then Liv Morgan comes in and becomes a homewrecker, and Rhea ends up breaking her shoulder. And then Dominic gets with Liv. Okay. Dominic is now dating Liv. Then Roxanne Perez comes in, becomes a homewrecker. Liv Morgan ends up breaking her shoulder.
Okay.
What do you think happens next?
You're sensing a pattern.
I'm seeing a pattern. I'm seeing a pattern. And what's funny is that Dominic is not responsible for breaking their shoulders. It just happens.
It just happens.
It's like a monkey's paw that he has. Just somehow they just end up breaking their shoulder, and I find that hilarious.
Yeah. That's just a straight up coincidence. I mean, did not expect that to happen. But honestly, I think that I'd rather just put it on Jade, cap off that storyline, and then hold off Roxanne and Liv until later in the year. And that's what I'll do there. I'm gonna move on from that. Oh, and by the way, we're gonna have the rest of the Judgment Day come out to, I guess, console Roxanne. Something like that. Try to help her, I guess. And we're gonna move on from that to Raquel Rodriguez, another member of the Judgment Day, as she goes up against Io Sky. And I'm gonna have Io Sky win here by pinfall. And that causes more sort of turmoil between members of the Judgment Day. And again, just Judgment Day racking up some losses. Gonna give him some time to basically just talk about it, the losses, and how they are sort of directionless without Liv, I guess. And we're gonna go on from that to a Dominic Mysterio promo. That's right. It's gonna be full on Judgment Day on my end. So after the rest of the Judgment Day sort of deal with Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez, Dominic Mysterio is gonna get a mic, get to the ring, and say, "Hey, we've been losing quite a lot. It's not that great for the Judgment Day, and I know that Liv is missing in action right now, but you know what? I am still the Intercontinental Champion. Raquel Rodriguez is still one half of the Women's Tag Team Championship, or I should say, one half of the Tag Team Champions. And you know what? We're gonna win. All right, we're gonna keep these titles forever, and I am going to keep my title against AJ Styles because we have a match at Night of Champions. And you know what? I'm gonna win that match. AJ Styles will go back to where he comes from and go into another mid card feud that has no substance for the next 6 months. And after that, we're gonna have AJ Styles come out, and he cuts the standard sort of babyface generic promo of "I'm gonna win the title. I have these people behind me. I am better than you. I am a phenomenal wrestler. I'm gonna wrestle you better than you wrestle your dad," or something like that. And I am going to win that championship and take it from you. And we're gonna have a brawl against Dominic, AJ Styles, and the other Judgment Day peeps. And they're gonna go on top as we sort of go from that to the Women's IC Championship match between Becky Lynch and Bayley. And I am going to have Becky Lynch win by pinfall. I'm gonna have her retain. Bayley, I think they're gonna try to book her as an underdog again, and I am going to start that from her loss to Becky. She's gonna work her way up to getting another match against Becky Lynch, and hopefully we'll have another match between them where we sort of have a stipulation or something better. I don't know. So I'm gonna have Becky Lynch win here, and we're gonna move on from that to Sami Zayn versus Karrion Kross. Now this happens because last week there was a backstage.
Finally, Karrion Kross gets a fucking match. Holy shit, dude!
Now this happens.
This is not happening, but good try.
Hey, man. Better late than never, I say. But I think this happens because there's a backstage segment from last week where Sammy talks to Karrion Kross about King of the Ring, and Karrion is like, "Hey, you have not won King of the Ring. You keep losing all these matches. You should succumb to the dark side, and maybe you should win those matches by embracing the dark side." And Sami Zayn is like, never gonna do it. And as a result, he lost the King of the Ring qualifying matches, and he comes back and says, "I tried my best, but I lost." And Karrion is like, "Well, it's because you didn't embrace the dark side." And Sammy's like, "You know what? I want a match with you after the King of the Ring qualifiers are done." And I think it's gonna happen. And we're gonna have Karrion Kross win by pinfall, and we're gonna start off the storyline where Sami Zayn is forcefully taken by Karrion Kross as kind of like in a case where Karrion Kross is the teacher or guru, and Sami Zayn is like the student. He's gonna teach him about the dark arts of winning a match or something. Karrion Kross is like, "So this is what you must do to embrace the dark side." And Sami Zayn is like, okay. Like, he's being forcefully taught all this stuff, and he starts getting some wins, and then somehow he realizes that he is better as a good guy, and he sort of tries to revolt against Karrion Kross. I think that's what's gonna happen. I could be wrong, but hey, man, I think Karrion Kross is gonna have a match next week. Hopefully that happens, but whatever. Wishful thinking, I guess. And we're gonna move on from that to Cody Rhodes versus Jey Uso for the King of the Ring semifinals. And we're going to have Cody Rhodes win by pinfall. As I said on the SmackDown side of things, we're going to have Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton for the finals at King of the Ring. And I'm going to have Cody Rhodes win to challenge John Cena at SummerSlam. That is what I'm thinking. That is what I think they're going to do. And I think it might be right or wrong, depending on your opinion of Cody and Cena again. But I think they read the feedback from WrestleMania and they were like, okay, well, maybe we should have a better match between Cody and Cena. So, SummerSlam, Cody Rhodes versus John Cena again. It might be a better match than the one at WrestleMania. Who knows? But that is what I'm going to have there. Cody Rhodes wins by pinfall. Seth's faction attacks both Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes after the match is over. And we're going to have an LA Knight interference to help out Cody and Jey. However, it's not enough. At Seth's faction stop him, and Cody and Jey, they all go on top. And by all, of course, I mean Seth Rollins, Bronson Reed, and the other guy, Braun Breaker. I should just say Seth and the Bronze. But the Bronze and Seth are on top to end the show, as LA Knight, Cody Rhodes, and Jey Uso just lie there. And yeah, finals is going to be Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton. And that's my show. What are your questions?
So, you have LA Knight now going to Raw.
Yeah.
Okay.
We've had instances where LA Knight crossed Raw. So I think we might as well keep up with that and just have LA Knight. Because I think what they did is they read the feedback on LA Knight and they're like, okay, it's clear to these people that they want to push, or they want LA Knight to be pushed. And you know what? We're probably just going to put him into the Seth Rollins storyline. That's why you keep seeing more interferences by LA Knight on both Raw and SmackDown, where he goes and attacks the henchman of Seth Rollins. So I might as well continue that. And we're going to have LA Knight be involved into this Seth Rollins storyline. But I don't think he's going to be the fourth man. There are reports that there's probably going to be a fourth man in Seth Rollins' faction. I don't think LA Knight is going to be the fourth man. I think it's going to be someone else. But I think because LA Knight has been consistently doing it in terms of intervening and attacking Seth Rollins' men, that he would just keep on doing it. So that's why I have him intervene here.
Okay. All right.
Any other questions before we go to your card?
Do you think they put the women's IC title fight on Raw so they wouldn't have to go to Saudi Arabia?
Yeah. Honestly, I'd rather. You see, I don't know if they should have done it for CM Punk and John Cena, because I'm pretty sure the Saudis want that match, no matter what happens. Even if CM Punk hates Saudi Arabia, even if John Cena hates Saudi Arabia, I don't know how he would, but whatever. But if both of them hated Saudi Arabia is going to find a way to get both of them on their show. Doesn't matter what happens. So, I honestly think that John Cena and CM Punk, like, that match should be at SummerSlam. And Saudi Arabia is like, nope, we're not going to do it at SummerSlam, you're going to do it at our show. And it doesn't matter if you guys hate it or like it, doesn't matter. We're going to put it at our show. And as for the women, who cares? You know how Saudi Arabia is. But
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Well, if there's no other questions, we will move on to your card. Starting off with,
I have a Jey Uso promo to start off with. I think Jey Uso comes out, takes about 39 minutes and 42 seconds to get to the ring. After entering through the crowd, he goes on about how he has a fight tonight against Cody Rhodes, who is not here yet. He says, whoever wins, they were the better man, and Jey Uso wants to wish Cody luck in the fight tonight. Then he's interrupted by Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman walks down to the ring. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman. All that jazz. Heyman gets into the ring and he says, listen, I know you want to get your belt back, buddy. And Seth Rollins is offering you an opportunity to get your belt back if you want help. He doesn't say how, he doesn't say when, but he says he'll give you help. Jey refuses, he leaves the ring, and Paul Heyman says, okay, buddy, well, that's the last mistake you'll ever make, and that's how that promo ends. Is this fantasy booking? Maybe, but I think where they're going with this, I guess I'll explain this at my main event, but I think I know where they're going with Jey Uso right now. So,
all right, I'm just shocked that you would do this, but all right, I'll let you cook. We're gonna move on from that too.
Jade Cargill, Roxanne Perez, Queen of the Ring. I think Cargill wins despite Judgment Day interference from Finn Balor. I think they're going to slow burn the Judgment Day breakup because of Liv's injury. I think it's still going to be Finn Balor and Nick Donut being peeled away by Roxanne. I think that's still the plan. It could change, but I think Cargill wins here. I think they kind of put the Judgment Day on the back burner for a little bit.
Do you think we could be heading towards not a breakup of Judgment Day, but like, you know how the NWO split into different... You have the Wolfpack and you have the original...
So we have the Bloodline breakup again, where you have two separate people claiming to be the Bloodline, even though they don't have different names.
I mean, they have the members for it, right?
They do.
You could separate into like 2 groups of 3 or something like that.
Yes. Yeah, but one group has 2 women and the other one has 2 men.
Okay, well, we can...
If they kept Carlito around,
yeah, if they kept Carlito, this would have been
numbers
so
to make this work. So,
God dang it! Oh well. All right, yeah. From that, we're gonna move on to
the women's IC title fight. Why do I have this so far up the card? I don't know. I think probably because they want to. I don't know. I don't know why I put this up so high on the card, but whatever. Anyway, so what happens here? I think what happened in my card is I write the things that are confirmed first, and then I fill in things afterwards, and then I move them around. I forgot to move this down, but
I mean
whatever.
That's what
I never get points for location anyway. I think Bayley wins this thanks to interference from Lyra. Why does Lyra interfere, seeing that she is face? I think this is them moving her to more of a tweener, and I think this starts a possible 3-way feud between Becky, Bayley, and Lyra.
So a triple threat at Clash.
Probably at Evolution to replace Liv versus what's her face?
Nikki Bella. You've already forgotten about Nikki Bella after 1 week.
Well, apparently she needs to be forgotten because her match is now canceled. So.
You never know. She could probably be factored into something else. She could go after Raquel, for all I know.
She could go after Raquel. That is true.
Raquel,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I actually was going to put Raquel versus Kairi Sane in this show, but I think they're going to save that for next Raw.
Okay. All right. Okay. So from that, we're going to move on to...
We have a New Day promo. So, I think this is a good opportunity. This is a good opportunity for the tag team division on Raw to be reset almost and have a new contender for the champions, because we've been in this cycle of War Raiders and American Made, and really no one has been able to match the vibe that the New Day have put off, which I will say I actually do think they're a heel characters are quite good. So they come out and they basically make the same complaint I did, where, there's really no one around that we can fight because everybody here sucks. So who comes out? Alpha Academy does. Otis and Tozawa. Otis and Tozawa having been thoroughly beaten up by Rusev, who is probably not going to show up on Raw for another month or two because they don't know what to do with him. They are going to come up and challenge them to a title fight. The New Day don't think they're serious, but Alpha Academy does want to fight. So Adam Pearce decides, well, we're not going to give you the fight, but we're going to see if you guys can work your way up. And they book a fight between them and A-Town Down Under that starts right after this promo.
So this match is going to be for the number one contendership for the championship, or?
This match is not for the number one contendership. This match is just to see if the Alpha Academy have learned anything from fighting Rusev.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
Okay.
I think having thoroughly gotten beaten up by Rusev, I think both of them have now learned their lesson. They're more experienced. I think this is leading to them eventually taking the titles in like a feel-good story at SummerSlam.
All right. Well, I didn't want to spoil what the match was going to be, but we might as well get to that anyway.
Sure, yeah. So, A-Town Down Under versus Alpha Academy. I think Alpha Academy win by a pinfall. The A-Town Down Under feud continues. We will eventually see them break up in April of 2035.
That's like 10 years from now.
What are we getting first, Brian? GTA 6 or an A-Town Down Under breakup?
Oh, man. It's kind of hard for this one. I still think that we are getting an A-Town Down Under breakup. I think they're still gonna plant some little seeds backstage where Austin Theory and what's his name? Grayson Waller. God, I'm forgetting people's names today. Where they argue. If we're just gonna put them on backstage segments and somehow they're probably gonna be put into a match and they're both like, I've had it. One of them is gonna leave and it's going to lead to some sort of breakup backstage where they both argue. It's kind of similar to like the New Day and how they sort of broke up. I'm just trying to remember. There was this one segment between Kofi and Xavier where they're just like arguing. That's kind of what I imagine the A-Town Down Under breakup would happen. So I think that's going to happen for sure. So okay, kind of interesting. So, as you're saying, it would lead to New Day versus Alpha Academy at SummerSlam, and Alpha Academy is going to take it from them.
Yes, I think what happens is after this, we probably get Alpha Academy versus American Made or War Raiders, either one. Then on the subsequent episode of Raw, or maybe a Saturday night's main event, we get an Alpha Academy versus either War Raiders or American Made for the number one contendership for the tag team titles. And then I think from there, you go Alpha Academy versus New Day at SummerSlam, and Alpha Academy take the titles. I could be fantasy booking, but I really do not see another way that the tag team division goes, because the Judgment Day are too busy with their own shit, right? You've already run back the War Raiders once. You've been trying to get American Made up there, but having a heel versus heel is not really an entertaining show. And I actually am now just realizing this. Almost every tag team on Raw is heel. Like, New Day are heel, Judgment Day are heel, A-Town Down Under are, I guess, heel, like more tween, probably heel. So they're the only face. So if you want... Oh, War Raiders are face, sorry. But if you want like a face to have a heel go against for the next tag team title, I think you got to go with Alpha Academy, because they had War Raiders.
Did WWE forget that the LWO exists? Did they forget that?
I did. I forgot they existed. Yeah. Okay. I totally forgot that the LWO existed. Rey Mysterio has been out with some mysterious injury or something. So he hasn't really been around enough to lead them. So
Or maybe they're like, hey, these guys are Mexican. You know what we also acquired? We acquired AAA.
I
Let's
think they're
put
going to
them
get
there.
shoved to. I think they're going to get shoved to AAA
Oh my
a little
god.
bit. So whatever. I think this is where this is going. Yeah.
Yeah.
Girl.
All right. Well, kind of depressing tag team division there in Raw, but whatever. We'll move on, I suppose, from that too.
This goes to AJ Styles versus Finn Balor. Noted time zone expert Finn Balor. Finn Balor versus AJ Styles. This goes off of AJ Styles' current feud with the Judgment Day. This is going to be Finn taking the win. I know, weird that he doesn't take the pinfall, but Finn wins by a pinfall thanks to interference from Roxanne Perez. And this, again, starts the slow burning, the slow cooking of the Judgment Day breakup with Roxanne pulling off Finn Balor and JD McDonough. And this also means that AJ Styles will probably be going over on Dominic at Night of Champions.
Yeah. Okay. I would have Dominic retain, but alright. I think they're gonna save Dominic losing it at SummerSlam, because that's 1 year after what Finn did to what is Damien Priest, if you can remember that. So this year it's gonna happen where Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio have some miscommunication or something, and that leads into Finn sort of just being like, "All right, I'm gonna betray you," and there's a betrayal there at SummerSlam. But
no, I'm thinking what happens here. I think what happens here is AJ Styles wins, and then maybe that's where they're gonna put Rusev. Probably.
Okay.
Lord knows what they want to do with Rusev, or maybe El Grande Americano, one of the mid Carters, maybe a Bronson Reed, maybe a Braun Breaker or a Bronson Reed again. I think you have like a lot of guys who are heels that need a shot at a title, and AJ Styles makes sense as a face because he's good enough that he can make someone look good.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah, for sure. All right. From that, we move on to the main event, which is
The main event, Cody Rhodes, Jey Uso. Cody wins via pinfall. Clean. I know I had something different on my sheet, but I made this last minute change. I think Cody wins clean.
What are you, the dirt sheet?
And what happened? Yes. what happens after is there's a handshake, and then a hooded man shows up and beats down Jey Uso when Cody has left the ring. No, this isn't R-Truth.
Damn it.
This is LA Knight.
Okay.
LA Knight has turned heel. Now, I know, Bryon, you said that he wasn't going to, and you told me this a couple days ago, and I was thinking about it for the past 2 days, and I was like, yeah, maybe he does turn heel. I think it makes sense for him, because he's gotten so many opportunities that I think they're going to paint this picture of him just being frustrated and having so many opportunities to get to the top, and he just can't finish. He just can't get through. And I think he sees Seth Rollins as the only way to get to where he needs to be. And LA Knight joins Seth Rollins' group as the fourth man. And Braun Breaker comes out and beats up Jey Uso along with him. Cody then comes down after Jey Uso is already laid out, tries and scares off LA Knight and Braun Breaker, and that's how the show ends.
If they're going for an LA Knight heel turn, I think the concern is that they're gonna have to justify weeks of him interfering and beating up members of Seth Rollins' faction. Like, if he's a heel, and we're gonna imply that, or I guess you're implying here that LA Knight is the fourth man in Seth's faction, then why did he beat up his own men? You know what I mean? Previous weeks? To sort of...
That is a good point. That is a good point. I mean, you have Paul Heyman. You can use Paul Heyman as a good negotiator. You know.
Yeah.
That is a good point. But
I don't know. I just kind of feel like LA Knight's going to go heel. I think he has to. I don't think he's kind of stalled a little bit. You know, like maybe he does go on Raw and he starts a feud with Seth Rollins, which could be entertaining. But I think he's just kind of stalled, and he doesn't have another like pathway to getting to the title. So I think he just like he needs a way. Or maybe you're right, and he stays face, and maybe he goes after Gunther after Goldberg is done with it.
Oh my god, LA Knight versus Goldberg. Oh, talk about ruining LA Knight's momentum. But so I mean, if they want to go and turn LA Knight heel, I'm gonna be curious to see where it goes. But I don't think they're going to go there. I think what they're gonna do is I think the move from SmackDown to Raw for LA Knight is beneficial because it lets LA Knight feud with more people. I think on SmackDown, there's not a lot of people where he can feud right now. And the championships that he's had in SmackDown are kind of well enough for him. So I think it would be better for him to be moved to Raw just because he can go for the IC Championship. He can go for the World Heavyweight Championship, as you said, as a face. And with the people's momentum behind him, I think that's definitely going to work. I don't think they're going to turn him heel. And him being integrated into the Seth storyline deal definitely will satisfy people's complaints about LA Knight not being pushed, because he can certainly be factored into that storyline, and after that he can be moved to the IC Championship with Dominic Mysterio or AJ Styles or something like that. Maybe others as well. I just don't see them turning him heel. I would be curious to know what an LA Knight heel turn would look like, but I don't know. I just don't think that's going to happen. But you never know. Now that I think about it, literally you had Bronson Reed take out Seth Rollins a couple of months earlier, and now he's in a team with Seth. So if that happens, then I mean, I would not be surprised if they decided to turn LA Knight heel. So it's whatever at this point. But well, I don't know. Could happen. Wishful thinking, but we'll see. We'll see what happens, because we're gonna watch the next episode of Monday Night Raw, as we have already locked in our predictions and bookings, and we are gonna come back to the next episode and we're gonna give you the points. So until then, thank you so much for ordering a pepperoni pizza, called probably next week on Raw, from Grapperinos. And remember, if you are down for some good old-fashioned oven-baked, crispy wrestling content, and stop on by Grapperinos and order yourself some content you can grapple with. See you next time, Grapperinos.